Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manny Behind the Mic, and we've got a very exciting couple days here. As you know already, tonight we've got candidate for Commissioner at Large, Susan Ruvalcaba. Tonight, after that, around 9:30, we're going to have Erasmo Castro, candidate for mayor. We're also, tomorrow, we're going to have both Ernesto Lopez, who is a candidate for commissioner for District 2. And after that, Ms. Jennifer Stanton, who is a candidate for mayor as well. So it's going to be a busy couple days. And I hope you all tune in. Let's jump into this. Susan, you ready down there?
Hey,
Everyone,
Manny.
welcome Susan back to the program. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. I got to tell everybody, I stopped by just to pay some respects yesterday, and I was impressed. You had a full house. You had a lot of support. And how did that feel?
Wow, it was amazing. We had about 150 people come through last night, most of which stayed. I would say about 120, at a time would stay. I had a couple of people call me that they couldn't find parking, and so they didn't stop. So I'm going to end up having another one in a location that has, can accommodate more parking, hopefully, at a ranch in Southmost, one of my friends' ranch in Southmost. So it should be fun. It'll be a great big pachanga, just like it was last night.
It's a nice feeling, right? When you're busting at the seams and you kind of have to look for a bigger venue.
Yeah, it was very humbling, and I was very grateful that the people showed up, that they were warming, that they, showed a lot of trust in me, and it was just really nice. It was a great night. It was a great night.
That's great. Glad to hear that. How have things been going? It's been I don't know, just over a month since we've talked.
Mm-hmm.
And what has changed? How are things going? How do you feel you're doing in your campaign?
I feel very good about the campaign. I have gotten a lot of positive feedback. I mean, that's evidenced by last night, and obviously the block walking and hearing the constituents. Most of them, I kind of know either through my charity work and community service, or either my patients or my providers, or I've gone to school with them. I mean, I've been in Texas for a long time, so I've gotten to know quite a bit of people in all areas of Brownsville. So it's real interesting to hear what they have to say and the concerns they have, for the city, and what the direction that it's going in.
Yeah.
Lots of forums, which I love. I mean, I don't shy away from public speaking at all. So I get stumbled sometimes when there's a man in the back with a time thing on you, or the podium. I hate podiums. I like to walk around and be comfortable when I'm speaking. But the forums have been great. Again, a lot of people that I have either been already associated with in one way or another, and then a lot of new people, new faces that we've now made some connections, especially in the special needs area, because I'm pretty passionate about that, and I know a lot of resources and things that they can take advantage of. So I've met a lot of parents that don't know a lot of the community facilities and entities and just events out there for special needs population. I don't like all of the outside noise. I feel like I'm running against more than just two opponents, and that's very draining. I laugh at a lot of the stuff that's going on. I didn't realize that there was going to be a sign competition and a sign placement competition, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. I think it's petty, but hey, that's politics. You got to have thick skin. You got to know going into it. I'll just take it with a grain of salt and keep moving on.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Yeah, the one thing I asked yesterday, and I want to ask you, Gati yesterday. So when you first jumped in, you had an idea. I imagine you had an idea of what your the public that you would represent, what your stance might be on certain things, or what they may want or need. And now that it's been a few weeks, has that changed? Have you been able to, like you said, you connected with some, and you're out there a whole lot more. They're listening to you. You're listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Has much changed as far as what you believe your district needs, or what the people want, or what they're looking for, than what you started off with?
Change, no, but I have learned a lot of new things that are concerns within the city and the constituents that I might not have thought of otherwise. But as far as like my original change, I think in talking to them, it has only strengthened what I believe are the changes that need to be done. I think we all have kind of the same concerns. Um, and like I mentioned last night at my event, one of the things that I really I really believe in is that everybody's concern is valid. And our as an elected official or appointed official or whatever it may be, it might not be on the highest step of your totem pole, but in reality, if the citizen is reaching out to you for that concern, then it's really valid to them. And so I really listen to people when they tell me that, they have whatever it is, issues about Brownsville. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday that his biggest issues were the lights on the expressway. And I
Mm.
was like, because he drives it, right? He drives to Harlingen to visit his daughter. And so that's a really big concern for him. For me, I mean, I don't think about it, I guess, because I don't drive the expressway that often back and forth. But for him, it was really strong. And I want to reach out to him tomorrow because I went to the PubCap meeting, which I'd like to update you on that later on in the night. And
Definitely.
they mentioned that they're working on those lights, and they kind of gave an update on where they're at on that. So it is an issue that's being addressed already. And so I'm really happy for him because it was a huge issue for him. And from what I understand tonight, it's already been taken care of. So, I don't, like I said, I don't think anything's actually changed. I just think it's strengthened and maybe added a few other concerns that I'm like, hey, we really do need to look into this.
Yeah, and there is another point that we're going to get to, which one of the reasons I know that you wanted to come on, but we'll get to that
Hmm.
that little nugget in just a bit. What is the latest on your search for documents and looking through things and Tanaska and digging? Where does that stand right now?
So I have two USBs waiting for me at PUV right now. One of them is the committee, the what did they call it? It was not the finance committee. It was I want to say like a salary committee, but that's not the name they used. I can't think of it right now. I wanted the minutes for that because that's when they talked about the new CEO's salary.
Hmm.
So that USB is waiting for me. I need to go pick it up. And then another part of the very big PIR that I did late last year, there's a USB waiting for me that has some emails related to Tanaska on it. So I need to go pick that up tonight. After the PubCap meeting, I was fortunate enough to the person that's in charge of the PIR has actually approached me, and amongst a few other things we talked about, she told me that she's aware that the PIR is taking a while, that it's just a lot that I've asked for, and that she's on top of it, and that if I can't stop by for the USBs to let her know, and she'll bring them to any of the meetings that I attend. She sees me at all the meetings. So she's like, I'll bring them for you and you can pick them up here. And I said, I'm trying real hard, but to get there before 5 o'clock is difficult. But I've gotten a lot of information, and I'll be willing to share it with whoever, wants to look at it. I've gotten a lot of information regarding all of the contracts between, or the MOUs between Tanaska and the PUB in the city of Brownsville, and all the extensions that happened time and time again when they weren't meeting those deadlines. And then I've gotten a few vendor, no, I'm sorry, I haven't gotten any vendor, row acquisitions, who they purchased them from, the proceedings in court, if it went to court, how much it was purchased for, and a few other. I got all of the many meeting minutes from 2012 all the way to 2022. So I mean, there's some information that I do have, but there's quite a bit of the real detailed information that I'm looking for that I haven't received yet, which is vendor contracts, vendor payments, these emails, And those are the real things I want to look at in this whole Tanasca thing.
Now, this has not been free necessarily. You've had to dish out a small fortune to get some of this information. Is that right?
Yeah, the actual proposal from them was a little over $2,000. So I think it was like $2,450 or $2,650. It might have been $2,450 because I had to pay $1,250, $1,250 in order for them to start releasing it to me. I guess at the end they'll decide how much work it really entailed and if I have to pay any more for it. At this point, they haven't asked for any more money, but I did give them the initial cashier's check for $1,250.
And have you gotten any help with that? Were you looking for any assistance with that from the public, or somebody who might want to help you out?
Yeah, I did do a GoFundMe, and I think we raised about $700. And so I had already pledged that I would pay, I would match every dollar that came in order to get the funds. So I did that once I got up to the point that I could start the process, which was the original $1,250. Then I went ahead and matched dollar for dollar and put it up.
That's great. Good thing, because that kind of situation can get pricey. So from what I've heard, other pieces of information to get from other government agencies, it's been a lot of money. So I guess it seems reasonable, although I still think they should provide that for free, especially.
Yeah, I think the labor intensive part of it, grabbing all those documents and emails and putting them either by, sending them to me by email, putting them on a USB, or giving them to me in paper form is where those charges come in. I know that I had asked the city for the same thing. I had done a PIR to the city, and with the city, I was asking for all the documents, amendments, or whatever they sent to CRI, or that CRI returned to them with the audit, because only the audit was released, but not any of the addendums that they reference or amendments that they reference in their audit. And they wanted to charge me $740 something for it. Oh. And I ended up holding off because I wanted to see what I got from PUB first to see if I and then I went back to the city and requested.
Okay, we just lost you for just a few seconds there in the middle. You still with us? You look a little frozen up there. There you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're back. Okay, yeah, you froze up a little bit and the sound kind of disappeared.
Oh, I did?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Somebody else is saying you're freezing up a little bit too. We'll see if that cleared up a little bit. So the other night this isn't the sole purpose for your visit tonight, but it did come up. And when I had Roy De Los Santos, Commissioner Roy De Los Santos, on the other night, just we're having a casual conversation, and we got into a few things, politics, and then he made a comment or a statement, however you want to phrase it, where he referred to you as semi-intelligent, and yeah, I don't know. Did you watch that live when it happened? How did that make you feel? What would you like to say about that?
I'm going to tell you the truth. I did not watch the show. I'm not even sure where I was when you had him on. I didn't know he was coming on. I found out the next day from somebody that asked me if I had seen the show and asked me if I had heard what Roy had said. And I said, no, I didn't. He says, well, he referred to you as semi-intelligent. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I think that's real disrespectful. I'm surprised that, again, like I told you in the beginning, I feel like I'm running up against more than just two opponents. I'm not sure why Roy is so determined to have my name coming out of his mouth, so often and in such a disrespectful way. I've never said, I've always actually complimented him on his intelligence. And I just think some of the decisions he makes are not in the best interest of the people, or maybe conflicts of interest, which that was already, taken care of in an ethics hearing. And I think he referred to that after I went back and watched it. But I am very intelligent, and I'm not afraid to say it, and I'm not afraid to prove it. I think I already have, and there's a difference between intelligence and maybe not knowing information. And I feel as a commissioner, Roy, if he felt that, if he feels that some of the information I am putting out there and because he said it was in relation to PUB, then he should pick up the phone as my commissioner of my district, and obviously someone that has been very vocal about PUB. He should pick up the phone and say, hey, you got your numbers wrong, or you got that wrong, or you got this wrong, and I just want to let you know. I would appreciate that a lot more than I would coming on a show and disrespecting me that way.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to admit it does seem, one way to put it is it does seem a bit sexist and obviously misogynistic even. And I would hate to think that anybody here in Brownsville, Texas, well, I guess culturally that could be debatable, but you'd think in this day and age we wouldn't have any of that. And
especially with someone who is so vocal about the community, that the LGBT community and the inclusion and the respect that they're asking for and things like that. I'm very surprised that he would turn around and kind of do that to me, and in such a public forum, in such a public way, right? I'm not running, Roy is not my opponent.
Right.
I don't need to really prove anything to him. And he's already kind of been, I guess, so to speak, for lack of a better word, reprimanded for that, in the ethics hearing about personal attacks in relation to facts, and I don't know what the reason is. He reached out to me and he wanted to have lunch or breakfast with me, and I told him I was willing to do that because I thought it was well overdue. And not only I feel like I'm going to be elected, and I feel like I'm going to be able to work with everyone, including Roy, because the bottom line is, as long as we have the best interest of the people at heart, and that's what the decisions we're making, we're going to get along great. And I do feel like Roy, typically has that in his heart. For whatever reason, he can't get past some of the things in the past with me. And it's very personal now between us because of it, obviously, by what he said last night. I would like to just get past that and get over it. I mean, he said more than just that last night. It's still the same homophobic rhetoric that's been going on for years now. I have said till I'm blue in the face that that's not the truth, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's already labeled me that, and that's just what's going to stick with the small group of people that he associates with. That's not how the rest of the community thinks of me.
So you're right here saying, without any twisting of words, you are absolutely not homophobic. Is that correct?
I mean, Manny, I'm sure you've seen my best friend speak out on my behalf, who has been openly gay since he's been my friend. I mean, he's been openly gay, he says, since he was 5 years old. We've been friends for years, since the 90s. We've helped each other through the hardest times, and it's not the only friend I have that's within that community. I've given money to the AIDS Council. I've given time and effort to other charities that are within that community. I mean, I even told Roy that night of the ethics hearing that I could give money to his nonprofit charity and it wouldn't matter. And I'd be willing to do it, but it just doesn't matter. And I mean, I can tell you, like I said, and I'm blue in the face. Are there things that I don't agree with? He mentioned those, the pride flag, right? I don't agree with the pride flag flying in city property. I just don't. It's my opinion, and I don't agree with it. I feel like you should fly your flag like I do wherever you have your own property. That's my feeling. The drag queen reading at the libraries for children, I don't agree with it. It's my opinion. I have the right to that. But so does 80% of Brownsville, 90% of Brownsville. Are they all homophobic because there's just those two things that we don't agree with? Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. We have the right to have a different opinion. It doesn't mean that we're labeled. We should be labeled.
Do you think that in spite of what he said and perhaps what you might feel that he feels, do you still think you could get beyond that and try to work with him, at the city on the commission? Or is
Absolutely.
this kind of going to hang over both of your heads and kind of, you know?
I've never shied away from talking about it. And I don't think I've ever disrespected him at all. He, on the other hand, has quite a few times. I mean, he literally went on a podcast of his own and he just badgered me on that podcast. And it did incite some people to come to my page, and they still come to my page. And again, I can say whatever, and it doesn't matter. Like, I can't please this certain handful of people. I can't please them. And I'm not trying to please them, but I'm trying to get them to understand that just because I have a difference in opinion on a few things that are going on or in the city in relation to that doesn't mean that I hate you. That doesn't mean I don't want you to live and be present and be inclusive. I mean, I'm a special needs advocate. I want inclusivity for them like there's no tomorrow. I mean, I would literally give my left arm for it. So just because I don't agree with a few things doesn't mean I want you erased from the world. It's just not like that. I would be erasing my best friend. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, just like as adults, we should be able to all have a difference of opinion.
Right.
And it does not mean, and I know there are extreme people on both sides, to be fair, but there are extreme people on a certain side that if you don't agree with what they say, you are automatically labeled either racist or, homophobic,
Mm-hmm.
or, or whatever else you want to put on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a very bad thing to teach young children.
Right.
That if you disagree, it's because there's a reason behind it, and there is a reason, and it's your own personal beliefs, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is a free country, and everybody's allowed to their opinions and to believe what they believe.
Right.
Now,
we can work together. Mm-hmm. We can work together, Manny. Roy just needs to get to know me. That's all, and it's probably the same thing. I need to get to know him. I know that we've been through quite a bit since he ran for office, and I was actually on the opponent side. And I know that I don't know if that's something that has stuck with him. I mean, I'm over it. He is the commissioner for my district, so I would rather him work on issues in my district than worrying about me and me running. But I know for sure that we're both strong-minded and intelligent people, and we could probably do a lot of good. But we just need to get together. We need to hash it out. And I was, and I'm gonna tell you, I was real. I was taken back after I listened to the show last night. After he had reached out to me and asked me to go to breakfast, and then comes on the show and kind of then says that, I was like, so are we going to fix this or are we not? Because I don't want to waste my time, right? I mean, I can work with you as a professional, but if we really want to get to know each other and have breakfast and let's squash everything, well, then let's respect each other publicly as well. And so I was a little taken back by that. I was a little sour taste in my mouth, but I'm all about working together, and I'm all about second chances, and I'm all about friendships and getting to know people, and maybe that's it. Maybe there's just too much outside noise for the two of us, and we just need to come together and figure it out.
Yeah. So speaking of that, the topic came up even with him. I asked him directly. I know Brian's campaign is one of his signs or advertisements say, no strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, Roy is one of his biggest supporters. It's no secret that he is, and obviously we all know now that Brian is employed by him.
Right.
And how does that sit with you? Do you feel that my opinion was, well, I know you say there's no strings attached, Brian, but there are absolutely strings attached.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with you. The ethics hearing was about that. It was about the connection that he had with Brian as his chief of staff, Roy, and then Roy's paid MIDI Foundation position, and then the MIDI Cultural District, and there and that little web there.
Mhm.
And he was found in violation of that. So there is strings attached. Brian is, and again, not personal, because I don't know Brian personally, nor do I even know Roy personally. I'm looking at this as a campaign candidate situation and a current sitting commissioner situation. The fact that Brian has an email and a badge that gives him the ability to be at certain events and inside certain city buildings and things that the regular public and other candidates that are running, they're not afforded that same privilege. I think that is obviously a string that is attached.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion, Roy has said that Brian is, and I believe next to his mother, the most important person in his life. A very close friend. We all have them. That's okay. That's great. That's fine. And then he's donating pretty much all over his campaign report.
Yeah.
I don't think that is proper. I think that what I think should have happened is I think that badge, that position, and that email should have been pulled immediately. Actually, I don't think it should have ever been given to him. But now that it was, I think it should have been pulled the minute he announced his candidacy.
The moment he became a candidate.
Right. The minute he became a candidate, I don't think that he should have been able to be a chief of staff or have those privileges within the city and the events that are going on with the city that the other candidates do not have. And that's my opinion.
Yeah, because isn't it like the rule with the city? If you become a candidate, you have to give up your employment with the city. Isn't that the rule?
You mean like a city employee? I'm not sure, because then the election would be kind of weird. I think once you're elected,
okay.
But there is an ordinance in place that they're supposed to resign from boards. And so that is very similar to, I think, what is, kind of what's going on. Although none of these candidates that I know of have resigned from any of their boards that they're on. But that's what the ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, that's what the ordinance says, is that you have to, or the charter, that you have to resign from the boards that you're sitting on once you're running for office.
Yeah. And I did tell him, I'm like, you know what? It just looks bad. It's not a good look. Even if Brian, which I believe he's pretty sincere that, he does want to become a commissioner and jump into that. But I think coming off as a first time, like we'll call it a rookie, first time stepping into politics, and you've got this connection. I just think it's a bad look. And, I like Roy. We talk all the time, but it just looks bad. You know that saying, if it walks like a duck, it looks like a duck. Mm-hmm. There's something there, and you trying to say, oh no, there's nothing there. I'm just supporting. That's all. Like,
I mean, I think I would own it, right? Yes. He's very close to me. Yes, I'm 100%. Yes, he has the privileges. I mean, it's not a secret. It's out there. It is what the ethics hearing was about. So, and that's public information. If ever anybody wants to watch it, was 6 hours long. I mean, and it had to do specifically with that situation. I mean, I think, and this is the problem I think that I have with Roy, is that I feel like he's so smart and has so much to offer Brownsville, but then he allows these kind of conflicts to be in the forefront and kind of shadow all of that. And he last night he was all about, what's right is right, and nobody's above the law, and all of this, and yet it just doesn't look good. No one else has put anybody else in that position. And now he's running for office, and he's still in that position. So, and he does have privileges that the other candidates don't have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he gets to go into places that I can't go, and he gets to go to events that I can't go to. So I think that's kind of unfair.
Do you think that, how did I put this? And I said it the other night, and asked him directly. Do you think a vote for Brian is a vote for Roy? I know Roy's already in there. It's not that he's running for anything right now, but now he's looking to have maybe some some votes go his way on some issues that are important to him.
I would hope that Brian's his own person, but I think that you don't see Roy without Brian. You don't see Brian without Roy. Not in any events. I can't see that they. I don't want to say that 100%, but it looks that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. And like I said, it's not a good look. And like you said, either own it and just you know what, this is the way it is, and
it's not illegal. It's not unethical. It's not a break, and it's the way it is. I think denying it looks, I don't know. Different.
It does look a little shady. I just come on and say it. It does look shady. Let's get back to Susan. Things you've learned in the last few weeks, like I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Anything that jumps out that says, "Oh yeah, I do have to focus on this," or what has stuck out to you the most from things that you've learned that you said? What has stuck out to you the most?
As far as what I'm hearing from the public, obviously PUB is huge, right? And I think the other thing I'm hearing, which is one of the priorities for me, is we've been forgotten. I hear that all the time. We've been forgotten, especially in certain areas. We've been forgotten over here, and I feel like there is this huge disconnect with the city leaders, departments, just the administration in general, and the people. I don't think that they're informed of the things that are going on, the decisions we're making, and why we're making them. And I think that they need to be more involved, and they need to feel like they're included in this, because we have a lot of voter apathy right now. And it's because we come around, we give them the big song and dance, and then we get into office and everything's forgotten. And I think that one of my priorities, and it may not seem very important to everybody else, but it's engaging the community more, collaborating with them more on every aspect, from beautification to infrastructure to business development, redevelopment, all of it. I think that we have amazingly smart people in Brownsville with great ideas, people that have tried to speak up before on different ideas that I think are awesome. And I think if we can just collaborate with them, then Brownsville will be so much better. So much better.
Speaking of one of those items around the city, let's talk about Gladys Porter Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, if there's ever a zoo that needs funds, not that animals are going hungry or anything like that, but the place needs improvements and a makeover, if you will. And
absolutely. So the zoo, I mean, remember that, there's nothing south of San Antonio that has a nice, beautiful zoo. And before, when I first moved here, when I was 15, back here from Jacksonville, which has a beautiful zoo, Gladys Porter Zoo was like the topic. It was probably one of, I mean, I'm not even sure that the Midi Cultural District at that time was there, and I know that the Children's Museum and all that wasn't here at that time. So it was the zoo. And I think what's happening to the zoo is the same thing that's happening to Brownsville. We focus on the northern growth, and we forget to maintain the other areas of Brownsville. We forget about them because we're growing so much towards the north, and all the happening stuff is over here, that we forget about everybody else. We have all these things coming into a play: Children's Museum, Dean Porter Park, the walkways, Midi Cultural District, all the arts, the performing arts, all beautiful and great things for Brownsville, the farmers market. But we have forgotten the gem of Brownsville. We haven't even maintained it for it to be nice. Again, it's prioritizing, and it's distributing the love and the funds everywhere. We all live in all of Brownsville, not just certain sections. And
Yeah, and it can be a little disheartening when we know that the ticket prices went up, the entrance fees went up,
mhm,
yet not much of the improvements that are inside, and some people like, how can they charge more? Maybe they should be charging less.
yeah,
So keep that. I hope that's on your list somewhere, because there's nothing like a zoo that's in the middle of a neighborhood, like right
yeah.
in the middle of a neighborhood, and it's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. And
And then so
Chicago's
many,
got Lincoln Park. I'm from Chicago. We got Lincoln Park Zoo at the lakefront, but
uh-huh,
it's in the middle of a neighborhood,
right,
and everybody can walk there. Parking costs money, but the zoo is free.
right.
And I know it's a bigger city, and the financials are different.
Mm,
But it would be nice for it to get to that point and make the
yeah.
zoo.
And there's so many beautiful things just in walking distance around the zoo. So that whole district that we're trying to promote for tourism revenue, it's beautiful all around it. And one of the things I also noticed about the zoo that they have, like at every other zoo you go to, is shows, and we have no shows. We
Hmm.
have no, like the polar bear shows and seal shows, and we just don't have any of that. At least since I've been going, we haven't had any like actual shows. And I think that gets the kids involved, and they love that stuff. And I think we just need a whole some real serious attention on the zoo, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. Susan, give us your pitch. Like I said last time, your elevator pitch. You're in an elevator with 3 or 5 of your possible constituents. Why should they vote for Susan? Who is Susan? And convince them.
Yeah. So I'm a small business owner here. I'm a mother. I'm a nurse. I'm a special needs advocate. I'm an advocate for the frail, elderly, aged, and disabled. I've been protecting them and standing up for them and speaking up for them since I graduated from college in the 90s. I'm a big community advocate. I am involved in a lot of charity work, and I have a serving heart. And I know that the citizens right now are frustrated, and they want to be heard, and they want the issues that they have concerns with to be addressed and not ignored. And I think that that is what I bring to the table as far as a serving heart. And then as far as a business, I have 2 successful businesses here that I built. Well, one of them that we built from the ground up, and then the restaurant industry that we went into and revamped the restaurant. And it's been around for a long time. All the employees have been with me for over 15 years. I have a
Wow.
great team. Just got 100% on my audit, my federal audit. So that shout out to
Congrats.
the team, man. They're awesome. Um, I've been speaking up and out regarding PUB, and I think it's time that we get somebody in there that's not afraid to stand up for what's right and not afraid to stand up when it's wrong. And I don't mind stepping on toes if I feel like I need to push or advocate for some of the citizens in Brownsville for things that they need and they're looking out for. I'm not perfect by any remote chance. I'm not perfect. But when I vote on something, you're going to know why I did it. And we may not agree on it, but you're going to know why. And I'm excited. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves. I'm an independent thinker. I'm ready to get out there and you know problem solve and get Brownsville. And Brownsville's headed in a good direction. We have a lot to offer, and we just need to take it to the next level. But we definitely need to get the citizens back involved in the city. This isn't a 7-man show. This is all of Brownsville.
Yes, very well said. One last thing, I wanted to go back to the Roy De Los Santos. Would you require an apology? Are you looking for an apology? Are you looking for him to come out and say something over what he said
No,
regarding you?
a public apology?
Hmm.
No, Roy doesn't have to do anything publicly for me. Um, if Roy, what I ask from Roy is, if he really wants to get together and fix whatever differences we have, then let's do it. Stop with this already. This disrespect. If I'm saying something wrong that he knows, because he is a commissioner and he is on the subcommittee of PUV, and I know that that's what he was talking about last night, then just give me a call. He has my phone number. He's already reached out to me for breakfast. Give me a call and say, you know what, you got your numbers wrong. Whatever you're saying is wrong. I think this is the right number or whatever it is. Just give me a call. Just don't. There's no reason to come on any shows, and I'm done with it. I want it to be over, and I would hope that Roy knows that I'm an advocate for the citizens, and we can just leave it there.
And could it be? I mean, since he is so involved with Brian's campaign, maybe that's why. You see, now there's a little bit of conflict there. Maybe that's why he's not. Yeah.
What do you mean conflict between what?
Well, like you said. Well, why don't you reach out to me? Why didn't he call me and correct me? Or he's involved over here, so he can't just freely speak over here because now he's playing.
Yeah, well, Roy has publicly said that he doesn't want me in office. I mean, he's already said he doesn't want me in office, and he doesn't think he can work with me. And so we know he's obviously supporting Tino, and that's okay. I mean, if that's his choice, that's his choice. But don't put me down and disrespect me so that your candidate can be lifted. You know what I mean? Let's fix this. I'm not going anywhere. Win or lose, I'm not going anywhere. So all the commissioners will have to deal with me when I speak up or whatever, when I see something wrong. So I'm totally willing to regardless, take this to breakfast or whatever Roy wants to do. But as far as a public apology, I don't expect that from anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't need to do it.
Yep. And that's commendable that you're not looking for that. Mm-mm. I think a lot of people are looking for it. A lot of people are looking for him to say something about it, whether it's a public apology or clear up what he meant or whatever. But,
I did get a lot of calls yesterday, a lot of text about it. And so I know there's a lot of people really upset about it. And, whatever Roy thinks Roy needs to do, that's up to him. I don't expect anything from him other than if you're going to want to really hash this and squash it, let's do it. If not, then, I guess we'll leave it like that,
Yeah.
But I don't want to go yet because I just want to give you a quick update on PUV.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So
absolutely.
I went to the PubCap meeting today, and they explained that they have already gotten the letter of clearance from the consulting agency. And the next step is the CFO is going to give his letter of clearance this week. They have already met with one of the 3 credentialing agencies, and tomorrow they meet with the last 2, and they should receive those letters of clearance within the next couple of weeks. They're scheduled to meet with the board on April 28th, the PUV board. They're going to develop that resolution, and once that resolution is developed, then it goes to the city commission on May 2nd. And then the city commission will vote to return a little over $30 million. It was actually $30,874,350. $30,874,350. Apparently, the subcommittee from the city and PUV, the subcommittee that they developed, they're meeting next week, and they're going to go over the methodology on how to return that money. So we are almost there. So that 30 million looks like it's for sure coming back somewhere around, well, I don't know when it's coming back, but it's going to be voted on May 2nd.
May 2nd. So potentially May, June, maybe, June or July.
I guess it depends on how fast they can work that methodology on how they're going to pay it back and then get the figures done. So, yeah.
Is there any estimate at all, putting aside the BISDs, the hospitals, that kind of thing? Is there any figure or an estimate as to what people might be looking at on their for their bill?
Well, I do know that if I'm not mistaken, I think 17 million was commercial and 11 million was residential. I may be off by a little bit. So, I mean, that's probably what, $300 maybe, somewhere around there.
Okay.
but don't quote me on that because I don't honestly know. But I think
Sure.
if you kind of do it evenly, it was about $300 and something. But that it for me, I mean, for me, it's a lot more about principle that money is sitting there, and we got the interest back, and
Yeah.
and now we need to look on into the other things. I think the city needs to return their 11 million. It doesn't belong to them; it belongs to the people. And I think we need a third party to audit that 79 million that was supposedly used for subsidies. Let's look into it and let's make sure that's what was used and make sure there's no way we're going to get all the money back. That's ridiculous. It's never going to happen. We can't do that. PUB would go bankrupt. It wouldn't even be something that any of the credentialing agencies or bond ordinances or anything would even allow. But we can look at, definitely getting back the 30 million, and then we can look at getting back the city's money, and then we can audit the rest of it and make sure that has been spent the way they said it was spent.
And until they decide on that, does that interest keep accruing? So that interest keeps on adding until they say, okay, this is the date, or we've approved it.
Yes.
How does that little part of it work?
Yeah, they do. I mean, the interest is accruing as we speak, so it may change a little. Because they have not pulled that money out, so it's still accruing interest.
Yeah.
Well,
Susan, definitely thank you so much. I know a lot of people have been commenting. You know what? Thank you for doing this. Somebody took the bull by the horns and did what you are doing right now, and I think a lot of people. And that's that you've got businesses to run. Yeah, and you got a family.
Teams, Manny. I have put great teams in place that I can be out. Of course, they hate it, right? Because they like for me to be in the office more so they can bother me than anything else. But I have an awesome team at my home health agency, and I mean awesome. And same thing with the restaurant. They run very well without me. I've been very selective in who I hire, and they're really good. One more thing before you kick me off your show, they also talked about the drought. So we're coming up to a drought. Where they're going to have to conserve water 3 months early this year. So then I asked about the car washes because the big topic has been the car washes.
Yes, seems like they're popping up all over the place.
Yes, and so I actually asked because in preparation for me being in office, I asked about the city's restrictions on car washes and if they are required to recycle water, and if so, how much of that water, what percentage of water. And I was very surprised that there is no restrictions. There's no restrictions on the amount of car washes. There's no restrictions on water. Currently, right now, out of all the car washes we have, only 27% of them recycle. So he mentioned that it takes about 100 gallons of water to wash your car at home. It takes about 35 gallons of water to wash your car at a car wash because it's a soft wash. It's got machines and stuff. It's controlled.
Right.
But 35 gallons for like 200 cars that go through there, right? For like 20,000 car washes that we have here. Right. So I did ask him what's going to happen if we are required to go into the next stages of conservation. And he mentioned that they're working with the city right now because closing those car washes would be hurtful on the families. But how are they going to do it with the water? Are they going to limit the amount of cars that they can wash, or what are they going to do? So that's going to be a real concern for the city and the people that live in it. And that is probably something that I would want to address very aggressively when I get into office, because I don't think it's very fair for them not to be recycling. If there's the ability and the opportunity to recycle the water and still be functioning well and at 100%, they should be doing it.
So that would mean for in the future, they should be considered any car wash that wants to open up. There should be a ordinance or the restriction. You must filter or reuse that water, recycle that water, which we'll call it gray water, right?
Right, it's gray water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and use that again. Mm-hmm. Keep it in the system as not to use fresh water from the water supply. I mean, that should be required of any car wash that starts to pop
Right.
up here, and they are literally popping up like every
Everywhere.
couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in the bigger cities and a lot of the other cities there is regulations on that. So I think the city of Brownsville is a little behind when it comes to that. They probably maybe they didn't expect the burst of car washes that we're getting, but we need to look at that because we're in a serious. I think we're at 27.3%, and at 25% we go into a level 2 drought, and that's where it's not voluntary conservation anymore. It's where they start telling you, hey, you got to conserve. You can only water your grass here. You can only, all that, the days you can water your grass. We're 2% away from that. And they say that probably by the end of May, we're going to already be in the level 2 conservation. So we need to step it up and figure out what we're going to do with these.
So that means they would, the city would say, all right, you can't water your grass all day long. You got to do it between 4 and 6, or between 8 and 10 at night, or something like that. But they're not going to go out and cut the water off yet. That kind of restriction.
7 p.m. to 12 a.m. and 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. something like that, and it's depending on your address. It's only certain days. Yeah, it's all of that. And then if we go into the third one, that's when they start imposing fees on you if you break the requirements. Yeah, so there's like 4 or 5 different levels. There's like a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and then I guess a complete like.
Which one is the stage where they say you can't take a bath every day?
Probably when we're rationing, stage 4. Yeah, that's probably.
Or you can't do laundry. You say you can only do laundry, 2 days a week or something, or once a week or whatever.
So stage 1 is voluntary, and that's at 51%. Stage 2 is restrictions. That's at 25%. We're at 27.3 right now. Stage 3 is surcharges. That's at 15%. And then stage 4 is rationing. So
stage 4. Wow. It's not that far away.
No, it's not.
So we can hope for the rains to come in. We would need a lot of rain to come in to help with that. Jessica brought up a good point. Would there be a grant, I guess, from the county or the state or the city, I guess, for car washes that are you want to be here? Please spend the money to filter or recycle your water. And yes, here's a grant or incentive to do so, or some cash back or whatever.
Yeah, I think
that's not a bad idea.
The city better quickly grab all those car wash owners and have a town hall meeting with them to figure out what's going to happen. And if there is a way that we can help them, obviously we want to help the small business owners. We don't want anything to happen to them. So if there is a way for us to figure that out and collaborate with them, we need to do it. But I think there needs to be a town hall meeting really fast with the car wash owners.
Yeah, and the thing with the car washes is now they've gone to a subscription model.
Right.
You can pay one monthly fee. And I'm guilty of it. I've gone 5 days, twice a day sometimes, and get my car washed over and over again.
Exactly.
And now I'm going to rethink that because just because I got a little something on there, I'm not going to go wash it. I'm just going to wait a few days because that is a concern.
Yeah, no, it really is right now. I think they said we started at 10% lower than every year it's been like at 10% lower. So like in 2020, it was like at 50%, and then it was like at 40%. And I think this year we started like 33.3%, and now we're at 27.3%. So 100% obviously is where we need to be. So if we're at 27% right now, we're in trouble.
Wow. Yeah. Something that's something we definitely got to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for stepping up to the plate and doing all that you're doing with the PUB and Tanasca mess. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are very, very grateful for you doing that.
Yeah.
And, it's not easy to do. Like I said, you're a business owner, more than one business. You have a family as well. And you do spend a lot of time on this. So, thank you very much for doing that for us.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Ruvalcaba She's running for city commissioner at large. This is A, correct?
Yes, at large A. All of Brownsville. All of Brownsville can vote for me.
And she's got a lot of support. She had an event the other day. She's going to announce another event coming up. She had to kind of people were turning away because the house was so full. So she will be having another event pretty soon, and I'm sure she'll go to her website. Do you have a page for your campaign, a Facebook page for your campaign, right?
Yes, the Facebook page. If you look up Susan Ruvalcaba for Commissioner at Large, you'll see it. And on there, I've been posting all of the propositions that are coming up, what it means if you vote for, what it means if you vote against, and how I'm voting, so you can know how I feel about the proposition. All of my priorities and my platforms and everything that I talk about on there that I think is important for the city right now. I think topics that I want to just tackle when I get into office, those kind of things are there. PUB information is there. Tonight, or tomorrow, you'll see an update on what I've learned at the PubCap meeting today. So anytime I get information, I post it on there, and you can just kind of get to know me also, my story, why I started, deciding to run. And so, yeah, go on there, follow me and reach out to me, message me. It'll be me. Nobody's running my page. I'm doing everything on my own. So.
And yes, Chuck is right. She is at large, so it doesn't matter what district you live in. You can vote for Susan if you are looking for a change. So please consider that. Go to her page, do your research, and see what you think. I think she's not hired yet, and she's already doing a great job. She's not voted in yet, and she's already doing a great job for the people. So consider her if you will. Thank you, Chuck, for that information. And thank you so much. We'll see. That's the early voting starts on the 24th, which is
Monday.
Monday. That's right. And that runs. The early voting ends on the
May 2nd.
On May 2nd. So from April 24th to May 2nd, and then the election day is Saturday, May 6th.
That's correct.
And that's when you can actually come out and cast your vote in person.
Yeah.
So encourage your family and friends. Make sure they all are registered. I think registration has already cut off. But
yeah, that was April 6th.
Yeah.
I mean, they can still register. They just can't vote in this election. But yes, right. Yeah.
But encourage to vote. There's a lot of people who are registered. They just don't vote. And it's a frustrating
we have like 98,000 registered voters in Brownsville. And I anticipate 12,000 showing up.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. So get out to vote. If you don't vote, you suck. And if you don't vote, don't complain. You can't. Here's well wishes from everyone. Kooky Karen, sorry about that. I don't know why you didn't get the notification. And do you have an opponent for A? Is
yeah, Tino Villarreal and William Garza.
Yes, I have extended. Well, we've spoken to Tino, and I've extended the invitation to William Garza, and I have not heard back from him. So far, I've heard back from everyone. Like I said, tomorrow I've got Ernesto and Jennifer Stanton. They'll be with me tomorrow evening. And for those of you wondering, tonight, 9:30 at Osmo Castro will be here as well. So this will continue tonight and into tomorrow. Susan, thank you so much for being a very, very graceful guest, being with us again. And maybe we'll see you again one more time before Election Day.
Yeah, we're going to have one more big pachanga.
There you go. Look for that on her page. She'll let you know when that's happening. Everyone, thank you for contributing tonight and submitting your comments or your questions. And we'll be back in about a half an hour. So we'll see you then. Everyone have a great night. Susan, thank you again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.